Well, hey kids, welcome back. So, you say you got a Firenza, right? And it's got them cool wheel flares on it, but you're missing one or two or three in my case, and you just need to go get some. Well, good luck. Doom on you because there just ain't that many out there, and the ones that are out there, people have them. They don't really want to get rid of them, and a lot of these end up on non-Oldsmobiles, which is cool. I do the same kinds of things. I believe in free enterprise, but I also don't want to pay more than what I paid for the car to get fender flares. I got a total of one. This side right here. I guess that's the left rear, driver's side rear, and it's pretty good. I was happy to get it. That's the only one I got. What happens if I tear this up? What happens if I want more than one? Well, we're going to find out. And this also applies if you've got something else that has some fender flares, or you just kind of want to make your own. Because the cool thing about this is the era of design that it was made in. It's called the folded paper design era, and it affected everything in industrial design. So dork out with me for a minute here about design, because Lamborghini Countach, those kinds of things, that is from that era. Lawnmowers, toasters, whatever. I mean, if you look back in the late 60s, early 70s, I think it maybe had a 15-year run at best. There's a lot of things that were made like that, where it have really sharp edges, basically just shapes that had a curve, not a compound curve, meaning that it didn't bend in two directions, like the difference between a culvert or a pipe and a bowling ball. That's bent in two ways. The pipe doesn't. You look at this and you're saying, no way, man, this is just roundy round. It goes every which way. Well, it's really not. If you lay a flat piece on this face is flat, this face up here is flat, and this face on the inside of the wheel is flat. So that makes it easy for us to duplicate, and that's what we're going to do. So bear with us here, and we're going to see how we can make this into a cardboard pattern first, and then we're going to cut it out of sheet metal. Now, this is urethane plastic. Why did I do that? Could have made it out of fiberglass. If you go back into the channel and look at Smith Motor Works Goes to the Racetrack, my buddy there, Dave Hare, we made a nose cone, kind of like a Curtis midget type. It was actually a solar midget for his dad out of fiberglass. It was originally fiberglass. Made a mold off of it. Made one. I can make as many as I want until the mold wears out. Have a 68 Camaro. Used to have a fiberglass doghouse on it. That got smashed up. Had a steel fender. Made a mold off of that. Repaired that fiberglass doghouse. I know how to do that. We can do it over and over and over again. And we can do it the same thing here. I just wanted something that was a little less, I don't know, plastic, I guess I would say. And I don't hate plastic. Hey man, if you like a Corvette, those are plastic. But I just thought, this is the era of, flexible, goofy stuff that they just stuck on there. And that's why GM did this, because it was cheap and fast. And you can see, it's all warped and it's got pock marks in it, and they can't really put a good finish on it. But if we make it out of metal, we can do something different. And I can make as many as I need to. It's not exactly something that you can pop out, in an hour or something like that, but you can make several copies of it, which is probably what I'm going to need to do. I'm not going to copy this. I'm going to make it the other side, which is the cool thing. When I make the patterns, I just flip it over. So stay tuned, and let's see how we do it. Well, there it is, all trimmed out. It's actually 3 pieces. I'm gonna take the inside lip off to where I can remove the screws and kind of trim it up a little further, a little closer. You know, the paper's cheap, the cardboard's cheap, so try to get it as close as you can in cardboard, chipboard, whatever you're using, and save yourself some time massaging the metal. Okay, after peeling these off of the fender flare, this is what we got. You can kind of see, with some exceptions, this is all laying flat, and it will lay flat. It just, I'm putting it on the dirty trunk lid of my old Cutlass here, and so it's kind of peeling up, but it's all flat pieces. That's the cool thing about it. So it's something that we can cut out of sheet metal and curl it up and weld it back together and duplicate the part, or at least duplicate the other side, which is what I'm trying to do, or create the other side rather. You kind of see there's several different sections going on here. There's some tape hanging out. There's some kind of nasty looking edges. The cool thing about this is when you see something, you know, if you kind of skipped one of the edges and it's got a, you know, big divot or something in it, you know that's not supposed to be there. So you can kind of straighten that out when you transfer this pattern onto a piece of sheet metal. You know, whether you got it a little wide, like right here, you know, that's kind of bulging out, or whether you got it a divot in there, or just something kind of raggedy like this right here. You know, we know that's not supposed to be there. This should be a nice, smooth, sweeping line going across there. And you can see here, I've got them marked. Now, this is such a unique shape. Probably didn't really need to do that, but I did anyway, because, you know, more information is better. Kind of rather have it and not need it thing than need it and not have it. You know, I got mid on that one, and then you can see I got top marked on this one here, and also those little pieces of masking tape. I should have did a couple more of those, but those are really kind of registration marks. Now, I can go back to the original and I can kind of tell where you start and stop. They basically all kind of start and stop at the same point, and that's how we're going to put this together when we tack weld it after it's sheet metal. But it doesn't hurt to have, you know, more of a mark on there to tell you how they line up. So lots of checks, and since we're flipping this over, it might be a little confusing, so why not, you know, add that information onto it. Next steps for us is we're going to take this and put it onto a brand new piece of 20 gauge sheet metal that I got. Now, you don't necessarily need to buy metal for that. I got an old Rampage sitting over there. The floor pans are made out of a refrigerator that I cut up. It's electrostatically painted. Flipped it over to the paint side down. Who cares if it's, you know, autumn gold facing the road? You know, it's just going to get undercoating on it anyway. Put it in there. Good. It's good metal. You know, cut it up nice and flat. It was the right gauge. I wouldn't go any heavier, which you can. You know, use what you got. You know, cut up an old filing cabinet, toolbox, an old car hood, whatever. I mean, you know, you don't want something that's got a bunch of compound curves and stuff in it, because you just got to straighten it back out. But yeah, you know, metal's metal. If it's not rusty and nasty, just make sure it's clean. If it's got a bunch of, you know, insulation or undercoating or paint or something on there, you know, you need to clean that off where you're going to weld it together. But I just so happen to have this big chunk of 20 gauge that I bought to actually fix the door bottoms on this old car, and I got more than I need for this project, so we're going to use it, and we'll nest these all together in an efficient way and cut them up. I'm not sure how I'm going to cut it just yet. Probably will rough cut it with some shears or a saber saw, and then I've got a kind of knockoff Harbor Freight Beverly Shear type tool that I'll use to cut these really tight curves. But you know, there's more than one way to do that. You know, we could rough cut it with a plasma cutter or some other kind of saw, you know, that saber saw that I mentioned, and then get it down to a 1/4 inch or so, or less, and you know, get some aviation snips and trim it up. I mean, you don't need anything complicated to do this. It's just time. You know, that's the only thing that those fancy tools save you is time. And if you're making 1,000 of them, yeah, you know, time is money, so you're gonna need that, but you don't have to have it. So we'll move on to that. Get these patterns transferred to the metal. We'll cut them out and line them up and tack them together. Okay, well, there's the 3 pieces after you've peeled your cardboard templates off and traced them onto sheet metal. I actually, you can see here, there's a couple splices in this lower one and also in this upper one. Not what I wanted to do, but I found a smaller piece of 20 gauge that I wanted to use up. It's just got some surface rust on it. I only cleaned it where I was welding it. But you know, just the fact that these are big long pieces, really, I don't want to burn up whole sheet. My big sheet, you know, use a bunch of it. So I was able to get the main one, kind of the one that you see, the middle, it says mid. Get that one in one piece. The top one have a couple splits on the outside, which, you know, they'll disappear when we finish it. And then on the bottom, you know, it's got one right in the middle, but yeah, that's probably going to be the least seen. But you notice I've got bottom out, mid out, because we're making the other side here. So I marked inside outside, so I'd know to flip these over. So this would be the outside, which was the inside of the pattern. So it'll come out right. So when we put this together, this will be the right side instead of the left side that we already had. And what I used to cut these up here is what I referenced earlier. This is Harbor Freight's little copy of a Beverly Shear. Here, these can be really frustrating if you don't do a few modifications to them like I've done. Replace the horrible little super low grade bolts in here with some knobs so you can screw this handle off easily, and then the blade clamp, take that on and off easily just by hand without tools. And actually ended up putting a little spacer washer in here, take a bunch of the play out of this, and you got to keep after this back here to keep it tight. Had to grind on the blade on the back side of the blade here so it wouldn't jump out. It was actually popping out of this body here when you're cutting it, but when you get it set up right, it'll cut pretty good. I found the instructions for the actual Beverly B1 shear online on how to adjust the blade, and they're close enough that I just use those instructions for this, and there's not really very good instructions at all that come with this thing. As I've said before, somebody said it to me once, I repeated a lot. Harbor Freight tools are kind of like a kit. You know, they're never really ready out of the box, or even after you assemble them, you got to kind of tweak them to get them to work right. But this one's okay, and I couldn't afford a real Beverly shear, so I ended up with this one. But you don't need that to cut these patterns. I mean, like I discussed earlier, you can cut it a lot of different ways. This sure makes it a heck of a lot faster. You kind of rip right through it with that. But there you go. We'll get these cleaned up a little bit and start tack welding them together. All right. Well, there's the pieces all tacked together. You know, they're just stuck together to get them in place. You can see it did take the form that we expected. It will look different. You know, you can see the urethane one laying next to it because there's nothing to hold that together. You know, it's like a snake in a hot oven. It's going to just wiggle around which way it can. And, you know, when we take the installed patterns, they're going to follow the installed position. So lots of gaps that I got to close up, overhangs. You know, some of that stuff I'm going to have to cut back apart. I guarantee it, to get it straight. But so what? That's kind of why, you know, you tack it together first. You don't burn it in. It looks like there's kind of a lot on there. Sort of the reason is if you think about it, where there's like a gentle curve, you don't need as many. But when it's kind of starts getting kind of sharp, like a sharp turn, you need a little bit more. Because the cool thing that happens when you do that is that the weld is certainly not, but the area around the the metal around it is annealed, so you kind of soften it up a little bit, and it's kind of funny if you're welding in the right direction, it sort of almost lays down to where you want to go. It's pretty weird, but like I said, lots of gaps, lots more metal work to do, but that stuff tends to go fast. There's you know, a fillet on the outside of that radius one, you know, of the urethane one, excuse me, as it comes out of the mold. That's, you know, just kind of a characteristic of how it's made. Obviously, we got a pretty sharp, I mean, cut your fingers corner off of this sheet metal stuff here. But once I get it tacked in place the way I want it, I'm going to weld it all from the inside. And that gives me an area that I can grind on the outside and still keep that weld penetration, where if I continuously welded it on the outside, I'm going to get that same effect, I'm going to grind my weld off. So it's kind of a win-win in that case. And if there's a gap I missed or something on the back side, I can get the TIG welder after on the front side and get a really nice flat weld and not have to have anything I got to grind back away. One of the things that is a little different, and I'd have to do this with fiberglass too, which is kind of why I took this route, is if you flip this urethane one over and you look at the back side of it, there's kind of a reinforcing structure. You can see a boss right there for the mounting holes, and there's a couple of those on there. Some of them go right up against the fender lip and they don't have one. Well, in the sheet metal one, it's a continuous thickness, constant thickness all the way throughout. So I got to build this kind of structure on the inside here, which isn't a big deal. We can tack a plate or something on there and get that. The big thing is, as it goes up against the body here, I don't want just a single thickness of metal against that. As it wraps on the inside, I don't care, just as long as it doesn't cut me. I'll kind of deburr that and smooth it out really good. But right here, I'm gonna have to lay something on the inside, and I may put a strip of rubber or a silicone or something on there just to keep it from scraping against the body, because it's going to move, and if it don't scratch the paint up, it's certainly going to make noise, and you just don't want to do that. Plus, if it's not up there tight, which these probably weren't either, but we're making them better, right? We're doing an improvement. I want it up sealed up tight there, because this is one heck of a dirt trap here, and that old car has survived out of the Rust Belt for many years and not rotted away like a lot of Indiana cars where I'm from and we're at certainly have. And this right here is going to get full of road salt and crud and whatever and rusted out. So I want this to seal up pretty good. Who knows? I may go so far as to actually kind of bond it on there with something that's semi-removable. We'll see, but hey, lots of possibilities. I mean, we got the shape down, and man, now I don't have to beat the bushes to try to find one of these things. And if I ever tear this one up, I got the patterns. I can make the driver's side too. I really just wanted the passenger side. We'll see. Maybe we'll get lucky and we'll get a front one, and we can start making that, and then we'll just imagine what the front spoiler look like. Beyond that, the front and rear wheel lip on the fenders is similar enough that I may take the patterns that I got and modify that and create some front ones too. But let's go out and see how it looks on the actual car. All right, kind of tight quarters over here. Can't really get out away from the wall too much where I got the car parked. But you can kind of see the contour fits the car as it should, because we traced it off the other one. It's held in place by tape, so it's not up there as tight as it could be. There's a ton of gaps that I got to fill. I may have to cut the whole thing back apart, as I need to. So be prepared to do that. But I'm happy with what I got. Like I mentioned before, there's no inner structure to this or mounting holes or anything, so I can't really draw it in really tight like the factory urethane would be. But all the shapes are there. I may have to get after it with a hammer and dolly a little bit, and like I say, I can MIG weld it completely from the inside, and if there's anything irregular on the outside, I can TIG weld that to kind of smooth that out. And there's a lot more metal work to do, but maybe I could have saved time doing it out of fiberglass. I don't know, but I can crank these out. I'll keep those patterns, maybe tweak them a little bit better to make some edges a little smoother on me, but I'm pretty happy with it. Let's take a look at the other end of it. Again, apologize, it's kind of hard to see over here, but see, it kind of tucks under the way the urethane one did. Again, it's not up there tight because they don't have any mounting holes. Just old Gorilla Tape holding it on there, and the kind of burger welded tack welds that I put on there. Fast and dirty, just trying to get it mocked up to get it in there to kind of make a proof of concept there, and it's a win. We can smooth this out. It's gonna look really good. I mean, the cool thing about doing it out of metal is I can put a different finish on it. I can put a smoother, brighter finish, or really whatever I want with metal. Then there's just no way you could do that with the urethane. It's just not consistent or rigid enough to really put a good shine on it. So if I wanted to do that, if I wanted it to make the gloss level of these black stripes on here, which that might look pretty cool, if we ever get it shiny, that's possible with something made out of metal, and you just couldn't do that with urethane. So there you go. I mean, lot more metal work to do, as I say, but we'll get to check it out. Keep watching the channel, and you'll get to see the finished product, and probably two more. Well, hey guys, I hope you got something out of that one. As you noticed, I didn't really take it to the very end because there's just so many sources of how to do some metal finishing on the internet, and there's no sense of me repeating the same thing. A lot of them I use myself. If you want to kind of see somebody that kind of busts it out, I suggest you check out Fitzy's Fabrications. Never met the man, but he's awesome, and he takes a bunch of stuff and just sticks it together and makes it awesome. And you can kind of follow through some of the things that he does, and there's plenty of others, to kind of MIG weld it together. Basically, is what he does everything with, and get a good result out of taking some patches and simple tools, which is what I do too. But the main thing that I wanted you to get out of this was you can kind of translate what looks like a complicated shape, which really isn't. As you saw, it's all flat pieces, into something that is fairly complicated and dimensional. Definitely in that old car, it's perfect. So is it original? Heck no, but we're doing custom cars here, man. So thanks for watching, for sure. You got homework, so like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, scream it from the rooftops, whatever. But we're going to keep doing it anyway. So definitely check out some of the other stuff on the channel. Lots of cars, bikes, fork trucks, tools, tips, things like that. There's something for everyone, folks. So definitely get out there in the garage and dare to be different. And we'll see you next time on Smith Motorworks.